Another one is field observation reports describing the status of the communication program problems discussed. So it's very important that there should be a report on my part in our project implementation for the children's program. I always give monthly narrative report and at the same time that monthly field report. So let me share to you this one. So this is the field monitoring report I prepared last month of November. So here I have the date, the area visited, the activity conducted, and the outputs, observations, and findings. So I said that here the PPDs or the parish pastoral desk were very cooperative and open about the development of the children. We had initial orientation about the coming children's camp because that when I created this, we have a children's camp coming at the end part of November. But here, look at this in that along the date of November 11, at St. Francis of Assisi Parish, they have this, I have this observation that the PPDs were concerned about the attendance. Some children do not attend the feeding activity. So what was my recommendation? I suggested to PPDs to find out the reason why some children are not coming. The teachers and coordinators must work together to encourage the children. And good thing, they were able to solve this problem. That's why in last December, the attendance of the children increased. So this is my experience about monitoring report. We can also, in our doing our social mobilization, maybe we can also use this and create our kind of monitoring report. That's why it's very important that in implementing a social mobilization program, we are submerged or exposed to the communities, to our stakeholders, to our volunteers, so that we would know what is really happening in the community as we implement our project, especially the social mobilization project. And now let's move of some of the sample for monitoring questions. And here in this example, I have taken this at the World Health Organization where they presented a document entitled Advocacy, Communication, Social Mobilization or ACM for Tuberculosis Control, a handbook for country programs. So one of the examples of the questions presented here, how many responses were received? How do they compare to those received in the months leading up to the activity? What were the responses? And another, how many materials were sent out or otherwise disseminated? So this is part of what we have discussed. There were inventories. There was an inventory about the materials disseminated. Another question, were staff and partners adequately trained to carry out their roles effectively? Did they perform their roles correctly? So this is also evaluating, monitoring the partners, the people involved in the project. And then here is another set of questions I've taken from NTRAC for Civil Society. This is a nonprofit organization where the NTRAC are providing some of the capacity building documents to capacitate the civil society organization. So the questions here, what work has been carried out, what work was planned but not done, why was this work not done, what problems have been encountered, what were this problem addressed. So with the list of these questions, we can see or we can assure that the monitoring can be done properly because you need to answer all these questions in order to know what is the update, what is the status of the program. Now, here is another sample. This is a type of monitoring data. So I've taken this from USAID, a guide to monitoring and evaluation of advocacy, communication, and social mobilization to support tuberculosis prevention and care. So they need to find this data, they need to monitor this data. And this data includes the mobile phone records of a networking intervention and also how they will assure the quality of this. So they have this column quality assurance strategy. verify a 10% random sample. Another one, audience participation, log for radio spots, conduct a listening audit of a 10% sample. Another is, I'll just do this randomly, dissemination statistics for t-shirts, posters, and calendars for a communication effort. So again, there is an inventory of their materials and how they will assure the quality. There is a periodic audits of materials at distribution point. So this kind of monitoring data. So these are the checklists that they have provided in order that they can monitor their social mobilization program. The same project from USAID, they have this sample monitoring and evaluation matrix. So the evaluation and the monitoring, they put it in one form. But we can see how they will do this. So here is the goal, the objective, the ACSM objectives, which stands for Advocacy, Communication, and Social Mobilization, the expected outcomes, indicators, the activity, the outputs to the indicators, the data source, the frequency, and the reporting responsibility. And below is the evaluation summary. But I will not cover on the evaluation because my classmate will report on this topic. So you can see that a project, there always should be a monitoring and evaluation matrix because we can see that there is a progress and there is the effectivity of the project implementation, especially when we are doing the social mobilization and social marketing program. Now, there are mentioned about monitoring forms in our book about the social mobilization and communication. First is the media data sources and the process data sources, and then the outcome data sources. So the example of media data source form presented in our book here. So there is who's responsible for monitoring the collection data, the name, the position, where will the collection take place, the region, the facility. And you can see, commonly there should be the activities, the start of a date, the end date, and the duration. So this is a sample of media data source form. Okay. So that ends my report, and very simple and very short, but here are the discussion questions. Among the methods of monitoring discussed, which do you think is very crucial in monitoring a social mobilization or social marketing project? Number two, if you will add another method of monitoring or monitoring question, what will it be and why? So I'll see you at the discussion forum, classmates. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you have learned in my sharing and my discussion. This again, Maricel Pomares. Thank you for watching. God bless you.